What's going on, everybody? It is Saturday. You know that is the day we interview cool people in the blockchain space. And what cool person could we have than Sal? Sal the Agorist. He's coming, you guys. No worries there. We're going to go ahead and transition to our introduction. Let's get this show on the road. So for those who don't know, THORChain is the world's leading Bitcoin DEX. You can swap 11 different blockchains across 40 different pools without using bridges or wrap tokens. Check it out at swap.thorchain.org, swap.thorchain.org. Anyone in the world can use THORChain. There's no account open, no KYC required, and privacy is a human right. THORChain has two tokens, Rune and TCY. The fees for swapping on THORChain are paid in Rune, and that's where the yield comes from. The fees are deducted from swaps, so you don't need to own Rune to trade on THORChain. Pretty freaking cool. The Rune token is currently deflationary as 5% of the revenue is being burned. 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to TCY token holders. Remember to stake the TCY tokens in order to collect this yield. There are no block rewards on THORChain. The protocol's revenue is real money paid by real users. THORChain is more than just a DEX. It is a programmable layer 1 with the ability to create decentralized apps on it. This app layer is being developed by Rujira. If you need help with THORChain in general, join the THORChain community Discord and Telegram group. Links for those are on thorchain.org, thorchain.org. You guys, please follow THORChain on Facebook and Instagram, THORChain Contact on TikTok. We need 1,000 followers to live stream on those platforms. And always remember, you guys, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. It is time, you guys. It is time to start the show. My name's Denny. I'm an educator with THORChain. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday. I am so unbelievably excited for this conversation, Kenton, because when it comes to agorism, I think THORChain slots in real nicely. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm going to kick it to you, brother. Do you have an update for us on the marketing stuff?
Yeah, a little one. I mentioned the scam website on Thursday. So swap.throwchain.org. So the R and the O are swapped around. And it looks like it's not even working because I think it's pointing to 9 rounds endpoints. So that's good. So like I actually set up a new wallet with like $10. I was going to go purposely get it drained just to create some proof. So when I go to these other, I don't know what you call them, the registrar or whatever, to try and get it removed. So I used Claude to help me. So I sent out some emails, contacted the registrar, contacted Cloudflare, some other Google has some form you can submit for like phishing websites. So I did what I can to try and flag that site as being fraudulent. That was my Friday night. So hopefully they'll take it seriously and do something about it. So guys, please let me know stuff like that. You gotta let us know if you see some scam site that's like copy and pasted, our official site. Like let me know so we can try and take it down or do something. We just found the throwchain.org. I don't know how we found it. I think we just made the spelling mistake ourselves and came across it. And we're like, what the heck? Yeah. So, other good news, I finally found a venue for us in Vegas. So for the meetup, for the THORChain meetup in Vegas during the Bitcoin conference. So Monday, April 27th at 7 p.m., we're going to the F1 Arcade. It's in the Forum Lane at Caesars, which is it's like kitty corner to the Venetian. So from the Venetian, should be about a 10-minute walk. Venetian's huge, so it could be even if you're way in the back of Venetian, maybe it's more like 20. But it's on the Strip, and it was the cheapest place I could find. But it should be cool. It's a nice spot. We've got 10 simulators, so we can race each other. pretty decent screens. I don't know, probably like 40 inches wide or something like that. So we have them all night, and there'll be food. So don't worry about eating dinner beforehand. You guys come and eat. You got to eat. Like, 'cause I have to pay for it. This is the thing with a bigger party. This is the problem. Is once you start going over like 30, 40, 50 people, there's minimum spends, and I get a corner off a section of space. They got to staff it, all this stuff. So it's not like, a dozen people walking up and they can do what they want. So part of that minimum spend is getting food. So come eat, guys. And they're supposed to just like buffet, just keep replenishing it. So if you're hungry, eat. Don't be shy. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be, and then it's a good it worked out really well because I can book it for 50 people, but then we can have room to go to 75 or even 100. So again, I didn't have to commit to a larger space and then get, nobody shows up, then I don't get anyone. All right, we have to pay more. So it worked out really well, actually, in the end. Took me a while to find something, but so the F1 Arcade, I updated the invite, the link, so the address and everything is on there. Again, with the food will be served 7 to 9, so you gotta make sure you get there on time. After that, the food's done. So that's that. Sorry?
Oh, go ahead, Kenton. Sorry.
I want to say I had one more thing, and I should do a better job writing this stuff down.
Well, we do have that vote for the Treasury. Maybe we should mention that. Like, we need to switch the Treasury. That we've almost reached consensus, right? So maybe we can talk a little bit about why that.
I haven't even looked at the votes. So you're talking about ADR 25?
I think that's the ADR, yeah, where we have to switch the Treasury address, to get the 5% yield revenue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I think everyone knows Nine Realms is no more, stepping away. Nothing to do directly with THORChain. It's just like the company's going away, and they control the wallet where 5% of the revenue goes for the dev fund, and so. I'm sure they're friendly. They're not going to just steal the money from us, right? But at the same time, like they have no obligation to give it back to us either. So we gotta stop sending the money there to that address. If you don't agree with the Treasury taking it over, that's fine. But at least then change the Mimir setting for the dev fund to 0%, so it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm not trying to push people into accepting the Treasury. I'm always happy to hear dissent. I just think it's healthy just to hear what people think. But the Treasury is the only, Chad and his gang of devs are the only people putting their hat in the ring to manage it, to do it. So we kind of have no other choice. I do feel I think Chad will be pretty good at managing it, the money. I think, and Alex, I think they're pretty.
Well, the history of that.
Yeah, I think they're shrewd. Actually, if anything, they're probably too shrewd for me. I'm like, I'm telling you, like, guys, you gotta spend more money. Come on, let's go. So I have no concerns about it. But if you do, that's fine. Great, bring them up, or vote. Maybe there's another team out there who wants to put their hat in the ring, or maybe just don't believe in the dev fund anymore and want it to go to 0. Those are your options, right? So whatever, we have to do something. We can't have it go to this other address. That has to stop. And it would be nice. I think, did Chad say he was going to just put it through in 318 anyway, the new address?
I don't remember him saying that. Maybe he did, but we got to get this done, you guys. Just vote.
I can't.
Come on.
Yeah, I hope. I don't want the no's to just kind of be like, oh, well, it's going in the next update. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I think it is healthy that we vote, guys. That we, at least, I know you can say, well, if I agree with it, I'm going to go to the update and that's my vote. And I guess I can get that. But this is like governance, proper governance. We can have like our own paper trail that, the nodes are agreeing to all these things, right? And it's no one's being pushed into it. No one's being bullied. And so, especially if people change, there's new node operators, there's new developers, there's whatever. 10 years from now, people kind of want to maybe go back in history for whatever reason to kind of see what was done. We have this paper trail of the decision-making process. It's on chain. So, 5% of the revenue and deciding where it goes isn't a small decision. So, I hope the nodes think about it and vote on it. And yeah, it's nice to have that trail. So if you guys don't know, if you haven't guessed, or if you can't tell, Sal isn't here. We're trying to reach out to him, trying to see if he knows what's going on. Maybe we got our wires crossed. We asked
We do have a question in the audience. I think it's a pretty good one, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
As we wait for Sal. So Big Daddy Slick asks, and put on stream here, how will THORChain prevent transactions leaving THORChain vaults from being blacklisted by chain analysis firms once XMR rolls out? And I guess I can take this one. The short and easy answer is they won't be. They won't be. THORChain is neutral, permissionless infrastructure. We don't believe in censorship of anything. There are bad actors that use infrastructure like highways, but you don't, stop highways because they're an essential part of economics, right? So if people want privacy, they will get privacy. That is the whole ethos of THORChain. The problem with our current economic infrastructure is that it's not neutral, is that it's not permissionless, is that there are gatekeepers, and those gatekeepers are often responsible for the criminality that has led the world to what it is now. So the only way to fix the world, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many others, is that we have to make our economic system completely neutral, permissionless, and especially no KYC. And for those who do not know, KYC means kill your customer. We don't do that. It's dangerous to have your identity out there. So Big Daddy Slick, I hope that answers your question, right? We are the version of crypto it's always meant to be. And this is a firm ethos that we will stand firmly on. So hope that makes sense. And I'm really looking forward to XMR, man. Absolutely. It is, it's going pretty freaking well. You said this last time, Kenton. You're like, I still can't believe it's happening. And I'm like, me neither. Like, I wake up and I'm just like, holy smokes. Holy smokes. This isn't a new, I say this now because of you. Holy smokes. This is really real. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Danny. Because I was messaging with the guys trying to solve the Sal problem. I missed the first part of your answer. Are you saying that there's that thing we can do about it? Like it is what it is?
Yeah, we're not censoring. We're not censoring swaps. That's what it is. That's what I said, yes.
No, I know we aren't, but he asked about THORChain being blacklisted.
Well, okay, so how I interpret his question is, how will THORChain prevent transactions leaving THORChain vaults if we go on an OFAC list? Like leaving.
No.
Freeze. That's my interpret. Go ahead.
I think what he's saying is, okay, the way I understand this question is that how does THORChain not be put on an OFAC list so that any crypto coming out of THORChain can't go onto a centralized exchange? Right.
Okay.
So
sure.
Right. Are we saying the same thing but differently?
Maybe. I don't know, but just answer it. Okay. It's okay. No big deal. It's a good question.
Basically, if it's like before, if you had something go through Tornado Cash, you can't send that to a centralized exchange, right? It's like stuck. My main concern is them fighting back THORChain. Let's see. Let's get you. So, yes, exactly. Okay, so yeah, what if he's saying yes, exactly. So Monero goes live, and maybe just to help people understand what the concern is that Monero is like the perfect mixer, basically. So we have Tornado Cash on Ethereum, we have CoinJoin on Bitcoin, and people can use those things to try and gain privacy. But then there's platforms that refuse to accept any Ethereum that's touched Tornado Cash or Bitcoin that's touched CoinJoin. And so those coins become like dirty in a sense, and that, they can't participate like regular Ethereum, Bitcoin does on centralized exchanges and stuff. And so could this happen to THORChain, where if it does become this hotbed of if the Eye of Sauron is on us, because we are now THORChain is making it possible to go from any crypto to Monero and back. Could THORChain be considered a mixer or whatever and get blacklisted? Maybe this affects ARBs because they're arbing with centralized exchanges, and they can't move their tokens from THORChain to a centralized exchange. Regular people, hey, I just buy $100 of Bitcoin, I want to go to my SEX, they can't. Maybe their account gets frozen, whatever, right? We can get crazy. So I think your concerns are like, that is all possible. But like Denny said, it doesn't stop us. Like, that doesn't mean we should change. It means everyone else needs to change. Like, stop relying on these centralized exchanges, centralized intermediaries. Like, man, we need Sal here. Like, this is the whole point of crypto. And like, if this scares you, well, go pack up your bags and go home. Like, go buy some meme coins and just leave us alone. Like, this is literally the whole point. And this is why like back in the early days, when Satoshi was still around with Bitcoin, and the WikiLeaks thing was happening, and they wanted to pay, is it Julian Assange or what's the other guy's name? I can't remember what, but they wanted to help finance and support WikiLeaks with Bitcoin. But Satoshi was like, guys, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we're decentralized enough. They can stop us, blah, blah, blah. And he might have been right. Maybe it was too early, right? But at the same time, it's like, at some point, we got to take that leap, right? And taking the leap could actually help us become stronger.
Yes.
Right? So we take this leap with Monero, and it works. Our volume's going to go through the roof. Room price is going to go up. We're going to get all kinds of attention. Whatever negative attention we get is going to be offset with positive attention. Look at the Monero community. They're jacked. Like, I've had some Monero wallets reach out to me. We're getting THORChain integrated. It'll be done. Right? This is going to be live. As soon as that XMR pool is live, our integration is done on our wallet. We could get new node operators. We might get new devs, right? We grow. And the bigger our network, the more decentralized we are, the stronger we are, right? And it's like, we're like the zebras, we're strength in numbers, right? And so, and then also too, like, maybe it's a giant nothing burger. Like, you can already swap from Bitcoin. You can swap from any crypto into Bitcoin and then go use CoinJoin. So the swapping occurs on THORChain, but the mixing occurs on Bitcoin, on CoinJoin. Just like you can swap from any crypto into Ethereum through THORChain, and then go to Tornado Cash, and the mixing occurs on Ethereum. No mixing occurs on THORChain. It's just a conduit. It's just a step in your process to get to the mixer. With Monero, it's no different. You can swap with any token into Monero on THORChain, and then the mixing occurs on Monero. So there's no actual mixing on THORChain, right? We're just a sidewalk to the mixer. Now, maybe that's enough to keep THORChain out of hot water or out of any negative attention. If they're going to actually be accurate about it all, like everything on THORChain is public. So that's the reason you can track it and see what's happening. So the mixing does not occur on THORChain. So maybe that's enough, and that won't cause any problems. But there's only one way to find out, and and like this is, I said, this is something too. You guys got to remember is like it's not a real cryptocurrency if it hasn't been accused of money laundering. Like, Bitcoin had this problem for over a decade. Everyone in the world, that was one of its biggest criticisms. It's money laundering, hotbed of thieves, and all this kind of index of money laundering, whatever. All those same people now are embracing Bitcoin, right? All those same talking heads. And so it's like a rite of passage for a real cryptocurrency. And I actually, if things get dark with CBDCs, social credit system, if you think Big Brother's clamping down, everyone's going to want to use the cryptos accused of money laundering. And so it's free marketing for us. It's fantastic marketing. I think several years from now, people are going to be wishing they were labeled as money launderers, right? It's going to be like NWA in the early 90s, F the police, all this kind of stuff. And they're like, well, they can't be saying that. This is crazy. And it was really uncomfortable. And so they slapped on parental advisory explicit lyrics on their tapes and CDs as a way to try and silence them, censor them, and hopefully nobody would, buy their albums because it's bad language. Their sales exploded, and then every artist after that tried to get parental advisory explicit lyrics on their albums because that's what helped their sales. So I understand normies, they pee their pants at the idea of thinking for themselves. But, there's a good 5 or 10% of people that do think for themselves. And that's it. That's all we need. And then the rest kind of fall in line, right? So, yeah, guys, I mean, this is always my thing with, over the years with THORChain. I think Nine Realms was always scared of privacy. Some nodes and devs were against it. And I'm like, well, what are you doing here, guys? Honestly, what is it? I honestly don't know. Why are you don't even waste your time in crypto. Just go to TradFi and have your KYC and have your, all your AML and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. If that's what you believe in, I shouldn't criticize you, but I am. If you want to be a cuck, go to TradFi. What we're doing here is for men. This is we're building the future. This is we're fighting the swamp. This tyrannical system that exists. Central banks. If you guys believe Rothschild starting central banking a few hundred years ago, and I don't care who writes the laws, I care who controls the money. If you subscribe to all that, you believe in all that. If you believe in the Illuminati, the WEF, all these lizard people. If you're like, I hate that, it's bad and all this kind of stuff. Well, this is how we fight back. This is it. And it sounds glorious as maybe picking up a sword and being on a field, but this is the modern day equivalent of all of us getting our pitchforks and axes and shovels and overthrowing the king. We are these peasants rising up. This is us. This is what we're doing, and it will work. It has to. Exactly. Fix the money. Fix the world. This is what we're doing. So THORChain is doing, and you guys are doing it. You're a part of it. Just by owning Rune. If you don't even own Rune, if you're just swapping on THORChain, following THORChain, liking a tweet, every little tiny bit contributes to the whole, right? To this movement, and so kind of going back to people's questions. Well, what about this? What about that? If you pick up your pitchfork and axe and you go to the field, you could lose a finger, you could lose an arm, you could die. We don't know who's going to survive all this, and but we fight together, we work together, we increase the probability of more of us coming out of this unscathed. Right? If we're all scattered, we guarantee that we're all done, we're all toast. But we stay together, and we dramatically increases our chances of survival. But this is what's great about crypto is that we found a way to make this work within their own rule set, their own, like we're kind of almost using the existing rules against them. And like with crypto, with code, how do you point a gun at code? Like you can't, right? And if you really want to get granular, code is just speech. So, it's free speech, writing computer code. So, it'll be really interesting to see how this all goes. I think if Big Brother is going to do anything, they would try and go after one or two individuals. That's it, and try and make an example out of them. And even then, maybe it's something that could go to the courts, which could arguably be fought and won. But again, if you're like, well, the system is rigged against us, they'll do whatever they want. More reason we have to fight the system. Like, get off your knees, guys. Like, what we're doing right now, this is for people who'd rather die on their feet than live on their knees. And if you want to live on your knees, fine. Like, I don't want to, make you feel less of a person, but go do that on your own time. Don't bother us with it. Like, just, you do you, we'll do us. So, yeah.
I agree. I think that was well said. And it's like, to your point, Kenton, anything that they can do, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's wave a magic wand. And let's say
you cut out or I cut out. You guys.
I'm here.
Am I frozen or is Denny frozen?
I don't
Did you
know.
freeze or me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Can you hear me, Kenton?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you froze.
Okay.
Can you say it all over again? For me, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I said what I was saying was, it was perfectly stated by you. It doesn't matter what they do, right? Because they lose either way. So let's wave worst case scenario. Let's wave a magic wand. Somehow they kill THORChain. Let's just assume this, okay? Doesn't matter. Well, this is open source code. And if you kill THORChain, someone else is going to pick it up. And maybe it'll be insert your least favorite country, North Korea, China, Iran, whatever your enemy of the day is, right, from the state level, they will pick it up. They will make their own liquidity pools, and then it will continue. So, what I would say is, if the government has a problem with this, you should be blessed that you at least, it's part of an ethos of fairness. And we don't like criminals. And all the values that you hold, we hold to. Freedom of speech. Well, hopefully you hold them. Probably not. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you can either have us do it, or you can have someone else do it. Your choice. It's your choice. Because we're not going to stop. And this is what's got to happen. So, and I tell people, like, a lot of people are worried. They think about it a lot. It's okay to think about the attack vectors, but don't worry about it. Think about how we can survive them, right? If you worry, that's actually a very severe form of intellectual inefficiency. Because we have to win. We don't have a choice. Right? It's like in your room, and you got a gun to your head, and they're intent on killing you, right? That's what it is. If you, like, with a gun to your head, start thinking about your friends and family, like, oh, smokes, how's my mom going to feel? How are my children going to grow up without a father? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. This is a complete waste of time. You have to start thinking, well, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to survive this? Like, you have to honor them, right? It's like, maybe I can make a bargain. Maybe I can strike a deal. Maybe I can trick them. Maybe I can distract them and take the weapon and free myself. Whatever, right? You never think about defeat. Just only think about victory, right? And what you need to do in order to maximize those chances. That's it. Because we have to win. This isn't like an investment, like some stock, like some, Fortune 500 company or whatever. This is literally the future of humanity. And when they attack, we're going to have a competing narrative. Our narrative is going to shine through. We have all the arguments, guys. So trust the process, get involved, and do what you can to help promote THORChain. And Kenton, that was a great point by you. If you want a free and fair world, people need to hear the word. Like, well, swap on THORChain. You don't have to own Rune. You don't have to be a node operator. You don't have to be a bond provider. But just use this service because you are helping. It's a vote. It's like buying in a store, right? Every transaction is a vote for a better future or a product.
Yeah, evil prevails when good men do nothing.
Right.
And and take a page out of a Klingon's book. Like, today is a great day to die. Dude, if I would love if someone told me, Kenton, tomorrow the state is going to kill you, so you stop THORChain because they don't want THORChain to succeed. I'm like, that'd be fucking awesome. I would love to die that way. I don't want to die some like drawn out, I'm sickly, 90 years old, all my friends and family or my friends are dead or whatever, like, and just kind of wither away into nothing. Like, I can't think of a better way to die. And I have thought about it. Like, what if I'm starting to become tall grass in the THORChain ecosystem? Maybe and I'm obviously doxxed. I'm like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to jail. Like, they'll have to kill me. I'll find some way to. I'll have a standoff in my house or whatever. They'll have to fucking burn the building down or something. Like, I'll go with a blaze of glory. But it's like, I
have it for you, buddy.
I just find it sad. People are so scared, especially that are such smaller grass. Like, if you look at me and Chad, we're doxxed. JP is doxxed. Like, I think between Chad and JP are the tallest grass in this ecosystem. And like JP or Chad especially, he's like he believes he could fight it in court. He would love to go to court to have that, and that's also a stage, right? Again, THORChain is going to court for all this kind of stuff. Is amazing marketing, you guys. It is. Right? Everyone will be talking about it, and so and then imagine we actually win the court case. Like, it's, you know what I mean? That's the street cred. So I just boil it down to kind of like, what if I talk to that girl and she doesn't like me? Like, well, then she doesn't like you. Like, get on with your day. Like, talk to the next girl. Like, don't be so scared. You'd be surprised how many things in life in general that we think is negative or bad it's going to happen, and it doesn't. They're just nothing burgers. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually becomes a nothing burger, you guys. And the governments are already there where they're like, well, it's decentralized, the pools are algorithmic, there's nothing we can do. This is the new technology. We have to accept it. So it's only one way we're going to find out. We just have to go down this path and deal with it deal with things the way they come.
Well, here's the thing: is like people are worried about attacked, and from my perspective, I'm actually counting on it to the same reasons you alluded to. Because if they push back, hypothetically, hopefully not, we just had this smooth transition into freedom, but probably not, I would say. Then it only works in our favor, right? Trust the process, guys. Trust the first principles. And I love what you said, Kenta. I totally agree with you. I've never had this conversation before, so this is really just a natural moment. It's like I would rather die free than live on my knees 100%. And there are things in this world which are worse than death, and living your life as a coward is one of them, I would say. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I mean, I have a family, I have friends, and a lot of the people I interact with online, I don't know who you are. Maybe I'll never see you, maybe I'll never meet you, but I do have a relationship with you, and I do care about you because you are my THORChats. I talk with a lot of people, and I'm doing this not only for you, but I'm doing it for your friends, your family, and the people who are not even here yet. Like, every dollar that is spent by our government turns into, well, not every dollar, but every dollar in debt is basically taxation of a generation that's not even here yet. Right? It's literally taxation without representation. It's a joke. It's a joke. And so this has to end. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. I mean, just thinking about our debt, Kenton, $40 trillion. What is that? Imagine a big pile of cash. A big pile of cash that's $40 million deep. A huge, just try to imagine that, what that would look like. Stupid. Now imagine 1 million duplicates of that pile, like in a grid. That's our national debt. It's an incomprehensible amount of money that we owe. It's over. It's done. The regulators, everyone who has built this fiat system, have crumbled it because they have destroyed it by robbing us of our purchasing power. It's over. So we need a new standard, and THORChain's going to be that standard. And I don't care if they like it or not like it. I think they should like it because, we're making things just better for everybody. And they can have privacy too, right? Any privacy that, they don't want you to have, they'll be able to enjoy themselves. So that works in our favor as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had, sorry, my thoughts are, I have 10 thoughts at the same time. But yeah, so it's kind of going back to what the guy was asking about, let's say THORChain is blacklisted or whatever, I often tell people, if you keep crypto as a one-way street. So, it's the fiat on and off ramps. That's where they can really attack us, right? And so, if what they would do is which I think is much more likely than going after any individual, is they would just cut off those fiat on and off ramps from anyone touching THORChain or Monero or any other real crypto. And so then that just kind of hamstrings THORChain a bit. It starts to silo it. We start having crypto starts bifurcating. We have like the approved regulatory compliant crypto, and we have the unapproved, dark, dirty, whatever crypto. And that would set us back, like financially, for sure. But we're still right. And it actually is probably helping accelerate the end game for that 40 trillion in debt to go away, because it's just a capital control. So, and capital controls are signals to the market. So if like these second and third world countries over, say, last 100 years that have collapsed, their currencies have collapsed. One of the final steps of that currency collapse is they put in capital controls. They prevent the flow of capital leaving the country, leaving that currency. They turn off. They stop the on and off ramps of that of their local currency to other currencies, to other investments. And it's an attempt to trap the capital inside the country to prevent it from fleeing, because it's fleeing too fast. That's what's causing the hyperinflation. Everyone's selling it as quickly as possible. So they're trying to prevent it being sold. That is not a signal to keep your wealth in that currency, in that country. That is your alarm bell to get out of Dodge ASAP. That's your fire alarm. I need to get out of this building now, because every second counts, right? Every second I delay, I risk getting burned down, going down with it. So if the powers that be, if say, they start doing this with crypto, and there's like good crypto and bad crypto, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that is no different than a country enacting its own capital controls to prevent wire transfers and keep their money in local currency. That's your warning sign. That's like, we're getting closer to that building burning down. And anyone with half a brain should understand that, right? Especially the early people in crypto should start to get this. You're going to have the mouth breathers who want their KYC and their AML and their backdoor privacy, and we're getting watered down with them. They are wrong. They will lose. It's just a matter of time for them. This doesn't happen as quickly. Just because this is what sucks with smart people. We can arrive at these conclusions very quickly, which the average person might take 5 or 10 years or their whole lives to figure out. And this is because a market is an amalgamation of all of us averaged together. So it's going to take time for the whole market to figure this out. If you are worried and have think things are going to go bad or wrong, whatever, that's more likely what will happen. And it just make us, as individuals will be fine, but it's just going to kind of silo us as THORChain will be kind of be on its side on its own for a while. So what do you say?
Yeah.
Crypto?
Crypto is a perfect railway for truth and honesty.
Nice.
And yep, absolutely.
And you guys
imagine if we could audit the government with crypto. That would be nice.
I think you guys will get it. I think I'm preaching to the choir. I think I'd be surprised if anyone's listening who disagrees with me. Even the guy asked a question, I bet you he still agrees with us. He's just curious, just wants to know, right?
It's a test for us. He's testing our resolve, right? And that's a great thing to do. Like, do you really mean what you say? Are you full of it? When you say you believe in free, permissionless, non-KYC, transparency, liberating the world, yes, we do. Yes, we do, right? And I appreciate that question. It's always good to revisit this every so often, right?
Well,
very good.
Last February, it's a real shame with THORFi, because I think last February was actually, it's not great. I'm obviously not supporting criminals or theft or anything like that. But from an intellectual, cold, logical point of view, it was a great stress test for THORChain. Yes. And it really, I'm talking about the Bybit hacked money going through THORChain. Again, I don't want that, but this is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's going to happen again, right? This is the cost of having a free system. And so not only did THORChain, the protocol, survive, but even look at the community. We had some developers leave because they actually wanted to censor.
Yes.
We had some nodes leave. They wanted to censor. They didn't agree with it. And so we kind of flushed out the people who want to censor. And so anyone who's left over now I think we're aligned. We're all on the same page. And this is where, definitely respect a lot of the other node operators who they want to stay anonymous. They do whatever they can to not dox themselves, which I think is great. And that's actually gives me confidence to be doxed, because I know the network can survive without me, type thing. And I can run my mouth and do stuff. I can do my part. I'm not as good with you guys on the technical side, but I can get on the social side, do what I can to help move things forward and help the network. Because they could, authorities could tell me to shut off my nodes, turn things down, fine, but doesn't affect THORChain, right?
Yep.
They keep on humming just fine. So, and again, that's as far as I'm concerned. Anyone I've talked to the authorities. I don't want to. I have a friend who is a crypto policeman, and I asked him, I'm like, do I have to be worried about you ever knocking on my door one day and arresting me? He's like, no. I mean, you run a node. Like, nodes don't, it's just running code. You're not directly involved in anything. You're not manually approving or doing any transactions, anything like that. And we're talking the other day. He's like, Kenton, you guys are gonna get Monero, privacy on THORChain? I'm like, yeah, man, it's happening. He's like, I don't know if I should be excited or scared. And because we've talked in the past about, privacy and stuff like that. And, as a policeman, he's like, well, I think there needs to be something, right? We need, to find these bad people. And he's one of the good cops. He's a good cop. He's not looking. He's tracking real criminals, not just victimless crimes. And so, but he's like, at the same time, he's a Bitcoiner and a bit of a maximalist. And he's like, even though I think you guys and he tracks crypto through THORChain all the time. He's always tracking stuff through THORChain. And he's like, man, if you guys have Monero, it's going to make my job so much harder. It could even make it impossible.
That's the point.
But he's like, I think it's necessary. And he's actually talking about buying Rune. This is a Bitcoin maximalist who's a police officer whose job is tracking stolen crypto.
What a great human. That's a great human.
Yeah. And I mean, and not all cops are evil, right?
No.
And so I actually do believe the majority of them probably are good guys, right? And they want to do good, but they get into this corrupt system, which, corrupts them and ends up corrupting them. And I think, most people, they just want to do what's right. They want to just stop honest bad people, right? They don't want to meddle in others' lives, right? So, I actually think my cop friend, there's probably more like him than less. I've met a ton of lawyers. I in libertarian circles, and I go to libertarian meetups and stuff. It's amazing how many people are ex-military that are libertarians and ANCAPs, because they kind of get a front row seat of what government is and how it does, how it works, right? So there's some hope there, guys. It isn't all doom and gloom, and the talk with privacy has become front and center now, right? The privacy coin's been doing well. Winklevoss twins are talking about privacy, with Zcash and everything. They should be on our side, right? So if we start getting attacked for whatever reason, hopefully people like them come to our defense, because it's kind of how do I say this? So it's like churches in the U.S. Like it's a big tax scheme, tax shelter, right? And so if the government's going to go after some small church about trying to evade taxes or whatever, it kind of forces the big churches to get involved and try and defend them and help them, because if laws affect the small church, it affects the big ones too. It's kind of similar in kind of anything in life. Like if they're going to go after, say in Cayman, you got like they're going to go after a type of entity. They want to go after some individual, so they want to try and go after the entity they use. They want to try and break up the structure. Well, you have all these trillions of dollars in that same structure, and they're all going to come to your defense. Like you can't, if you do this, if you break this one structure to go after that one guy, that now opens the door for you to go after all of us, and we can't have that. So you almost kind of piggyback on all those other people's lawyers to help protect that structure from being broken. Am I making sense? Does that
100%. 100%. Yeah. 1,000. It looks like you have a question in the audience, but I have to use the restroom. But I want to give you a layup real quick, Kenton, because you said something interesting the other day, and that was talking about censorship in general, right? And you said basically the key is not to censor. Right, that's like a peripheral solution to a base problem, right? The key is to improve the security. So while I go to the bathroom, I just want to, can you expand upon that? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. So this whenever you see a theft online, right? The knee-jerk, a theft of crypto, knee-jerk reaction is we got to freeze the wallets, freeze the transactions, whatever, right? We got to censor them, and it's kind of like, that's like saying if you have cash and you drop it on the sidewalk, we need to freeze the roads. We need to stop everything so we can try and recover that cash you lost on the side of the road. If we did that, it was just society grinds to a halt, right? It's just not feasible. You lose some cash on the sidewalk when you're walking down, like it's gone, right? You just accept that it's gone. This is the cost of using cash. It's the same thing with crypto. If we stop everything to start censoring when somebody loses their crypto, the system just becomes like it's pointless, right? It's not useful anymore. And so, kind of using that sidewalk example, if you don't want to lose your cash on the sidewalk, well, don't take it out of the house. Protect it, secure it, put it in a vault, put it in a safe, deposit it in the bank, right? That's the whole point of it. But the point of a bank is just to custody and safeguard your cash, your wealth. So it's the same thing with crypto. If you don't want it being stolen, you got to protect it. You got to secure it. Like you need better security. Knee-jerk reaction should be getting multi-sig, doing some MPC, right? Whatever, right? Because if you hear about these people who are losing their crypto, and like back to my cop friend, the stories he tells me, it's pretty stupid. Like we can't, like the social engineering attacks are getting clever, but at the same time, it's like, how many times do you need to be told to never give someone your 12-word seed phrase? Like, how hard is it to just not do that?
Yeah.
People still do it. And it's like, stupid is as stupid does. And it's like we can't rubber pad the world for these people. Like, at some point they have to accept self-responsibility that, okay, I screwed up. If we tried to make the world as safe as possible for every human being so nothing bad could happen, honestly, game theory it out, that ends up in solitary confinement for every human being. We're all in a cage with nothing around us. It's impossible for us to get hurt. We cannot lose. No one can hurt us, nothing like that. But we are perfectly enslaved. Like it's actually, it's inversely correlated.
Hell.
It's hell. The more free you are, the more at risk you are. The less risk you have, the less free you are. Right? So maximum freedom is about being exposed to maximum risk.
Correct.
And maximum safety is maximum slavery. And this is what's sad with the normies, is everyone is so terrified of their own shadow, and there's such a huge demand for safety that they accept and are willing to take all kinds of slavery. And so this free new system we're building is maximum freedom, maximum responsibility, which does introduce maximum risk. But that still doesn't mean it's dire, like the bad things are gonna happen. It's very easy to protect yourself from those risks, like with multi-sig. Like you just increased your level of security by, I don't know, 100-fold. So just because you're exposed to maximum risk doesn't mean there's maximum probability that the risk will occur, right? And that's another thing too with the mouth breathers and normies. They hear these risks and they assign a probability of 1 to all of them. And it's like, well, no, you can list off the risks. Maybe there's only, an infinitesimal probability of these things happening. So, yeah. So the knee-jerk reaction should be security. Like I don't want to name any names, but the people online who are like, they make a living and a name for themselves on tracking these things. They should be the first ones offering a wallet, a way to this is how you secure your funds, you guys. Like, let's knee-jerk reaction into security, not censorship. And actually, I need to look it up. But didn't Circle is getting some flack because they didn't censor
Right.
the latest hack from Drift, I think it was called,
Yep.
like 230 million or something.
Yeah, I think Zach
And,
XBT has been riffing into him really heavily lately.
Guys, like, this is Circle. They're a publicly traded company in the U.S. and they're not censoring transactions, and nothing bad is happening to them. Like, I actually have kudos to them. I get to give them props. Like, and I agree with them. Like, I'm shocked. I figured a public company like that, they're gonna go above and beyond. They're gonna do more than the minimum, whatever, right? And they'll be censoring and freezing left, right, and center. I mean, it's Tether who ended up freezing. And Tether is supposed to be the, like, the dark, dirty one that, anything goes or whatever. So I have to give kudos to Circle because they're only doing it if it goes through the courts. And I completely agree with them because, like, it's not on Circle or us to who's the arbiter of truth, right? It's not somebody on Twitter who DMs me is telling me to censor. I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't due process. Like, how do I, even back to the Bybit stuff, how do I know that's true, that it's North Korea? I don't know. I'm just being told this online. How do I know it's not AI feeding me stories, right? How do I know this isn't freedom fighters in Iran trying to, like, overthrow the Shah, right? Like, I don't know. And so, in theory, we would have a court who is unbiased and evidence could be presented and we could, hopefully we could trust their decision. But we all know U.S. courts are corrupt, right? So, like, but from Circle's point of view, I get it. They got to start somewhere. They got to do something. They're in the U.S. publicly traded. They're going to trust the U.S. courts, right? They got to do something. But that makes sense. They've got a process. These are the steps that need to be done before we censor something. I think that's great. I think it's fair. And then, from THORChain's point of view, we're just taking the position of neutrality. It's not up to us we're not deciding. Others can decide.
What is THORChain? What is THORChain? Just a decentralized neutral infrastructure. That's all it is. Can a highway decide? No. What car drives on?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Exactly. And as soon as THORChain tries to start deciding, that's when it loses. And so I actually give kudos to Circle. And this is the thing too. Everyone's worried about stablecoins basically being CBDCs. As long as there's genuine competition between these different stablecoin issuers, they should be like Circle, where they actually don't freeze anything, and it's very difficult for them to freeze because as soon as one stablecoin issuer gets a name for themselves, or they're just arbitrarily freezing, everyone's going to stop using it. They'll leave, they'll quit, and they'll start using the free one. So
That played out in real life, right? Because sorry to interrupt you, Kenton, but like, with the whole Ukraine-Russian thing, United States froze Russian assets that were denominated in dollars in various countries based on that conflict, right? And it was, the U.S. dollar is supposed to be neutral, permissionless, and that caused enormous ramifications, huge consequences for the dollar. And now we have things like BRICS and China and other currencies, gaining steam against it, right? So from Circle's point of view, they don't want that flack. They want, and Circle definitely is talking to the most powerful people in the government. They've got this all figured out, right? Like, I don't know who Zach is, if he's like, European or somewhere. I have no idea. But, Circle has got this totally worked out from the bottom. Like, no, these are the specific steps to your point.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Well, I want to rip on him a little bit. Like,
go ahead.
It's funny. Like, so there's, have you guys heard of the book, The Psychology of Persuasion, Why We Say Yes? Robert Cialdini, I think. It's a pretty good book. Basically, like, why do people get into cults? Why do people, get sucked into pyramid schemes or con men or whatever, right? And each chapter goes down, just like kind of breaks down like a thing why we do things, like the psychology behind it. Anyway, one of the chapters talks about I forget what the actual clinical term is, but basically kind of like a monkey see, monkey do. So, like, for example, if on the news you see somebody jumps off the Golden State Bridge in San Francisco, kills himself, immediately after you get like copycats. You get a spike in people jumping off the bridge because they see it on the news, and it gives them the idea to do it. And so, they've studied this. This is peer reviewed, so like you could have like a bus driver, driving himself into a brick wall, and then over the next few weeks you're going to have one or two other people do the same thing, and it's basically kind of like like if you're sitting at the table and there's a kid playing with stuff, and you tell the kid don't touch the ashtray. Not all he wants to do is touch the ashtray, right? It's in his mind, right? If he never said anything, he'd probably never touch the ashtray, right? So where I'm going with this is Zach is his own worst enemy. He keeps telling the thieves how to be thieves. If he really hated THORChain, hated what's going on, he wouldn't put anything online, what they're doing and how they're doing it, because he's literally giving them a playbook on how to do it. But actually, my guess is he's more motivated by likes and followers, so he wants the attention. So, I'd call his motivations into question, right? Is he really doing this to try and protect people, or is it just he want likes and attention? Because if he really wants to try and protect people, he'd stop providing a playbook for these thieves on how to do it. And he would stop mentioning THORChain altogether, because he wouldn't want that publicity. Like I was saying, the money laundering stuff is good publicity for us, you guys. Not because I want more thieves, but because, the broader context. But he's a platform to market THORChain to thieves. He is our single biggest salesman for thieves to use THORChain. I don't see anyone in the THORChain community marketing to North Korea to come use us. He is. So, like, if he really was against it, didn't want it to be done, he wouldn't say anything. He can still do all his work and say, I've tracked it down, that's it. He doesn't have to say how, where, whatever. Do it behind the scenes. Don't tell them. Don't give them the idea. Keep it offline. It's...
Yeah, I agree. Well, his thing is a double standard, right? I mean, we literally cannot... I've tried, you guys. We cannot audit, and especially in my country, you cannot audit the government. It's impossible. It's impossible. Like, the data is not there, right? And the amount of money that's being laundered daily, vastly assumes the worst is more than the worst hacks in crypto. Like, so, I like the idea of holding criminals accountable. I do like that. But, right, there's nothing to be done here. There's nothing to be done. And to your point, Kent, I think that's very well said. I mean, if you mention what's going on, they're just going to have copycats. I think groupthink is a very common term. I think that's kind of what it is, groupthink. And yeah, man. I mean, I would love the average person to be completely private, and the only thing that's public is the government funds on a public blockchain that's auditable. That makes sense to me. That's where KYC or KYG, I should say, know your government, makes sense, right? If Sal was here, he would say, we don't want a government. We want to, have an open and free. And I totally agree with that. But that's why I'm,
I wish he was here. I'd love to talk to this stuff.
Such a great This is because THORChain is right up his alley.
Did we hear back? Did he? So I don't know what happened, guys. I'm sorry. There must be some wires crossed.
It happens. No ill will to Sal. We'll have to do it again.
We'll have to make him feel bad, and we'll make up for this. I wore my shirt for him. I got my. Can you guys see?
Yeah, there you go.
Murray Rothbard. Shoot, what were you just saying, Danny? I wanted to keep going with you on that.
Well, I was saying the audit. Yeah.
So maybe we should explain that, because I do have some friends, some people who are like, okay, Kent, I'm following your crazy line of thinking, no government. But how does it work? How do you have no government type stuff like that? And it's like, okay, well, it's really basically just be like an HOA. There'd still be there's some organization who's going to provide police or provide courts or whatever. It's not to say police or courts are to go away, to go to zero, or the roads are going to zero. It's just how we pay for them will change, and how we organize it. All those services will still exist. We all still want them. And this is the thing. There's such a huge demand for those things that we're willing to put up with so much crap, right? That we're like, if in a free market, if there's a demand, there's a supply. So people will figure that. This will put entrepreneurs. They figure this stuff out. And, it goes, well, it's way beyond this podcast, but this is kind of the leap libertarians make from libertarianism to anarchism, is once you start actually kind of walking through piece by piece how it would work in a real free market, it just starts connecting. Now all the puzzle pieces are there. You see the full picture. It's hard to explain in a few minutes. And so, but the best way to go about it is just property rights. So if we have real property rights and you just stay true to that, everything builds from there. And if we have honest to God, genuine property rights, a government that exists today is not possible. It can only exist by violating property rights. So if we had a society where everyone's property rights were respected, I'm not saying perfectly, but maximally, and there's still going to be thieves, there's still going to be pickpockets, yes. There's still going to be vandalism, right? There's still going to be fraud, right? It's just how we deal with it, right? How we respond to it. And so a society that approaches those problems by preserving and protecting property rights is basically what the anarcho-capitalist kind of wet dream is about. And there would still be some form of government in that system. It would just operate and look completely different than the current government. It'd be much more like an HOA. And if any of you guys hate an HOA, multiply it by 1 trillion times. That's the government you live under, right? So but that's what we basically we just have these mini governments, these HOAs, mini governments everywhere, and that's how things would operate. But you have competing HOAs. And they
if you don't like the HOA, you leave. Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right. Instead of having to leave the country you live in, you can just leave the neighborhood you live in. It's much easier to opt out, right? And as you have more competition with these HOAs, it's just like anything else in life. You increase the quality, reduce the price. So just like you have crappy restaurants and good restaurants, you're going to have crappy HOAs and good HOAs. But instead of having this one single monopolistic HOA that controls the whole country. So, Yeah. So when we protect property rights, what we're really doing is fostering competition. And that's, if you go anywhere in the world, you don't have to leave your house. Just look up on the internet. You know, you look up the freest countries, freest societies, the ones with the most, have the best property rights are always the most prosperous. You know, always have the most access to, have the best healthcare, have the best, you know, access to goods and services, all that kind of stuff. So that's what Austrian economics is. It's gone through. If you guys are in crypto and you haven't gone down the Austrian economics rabbit hole, you got to, because you're there. But Austrian economics basically just goes through history and actually puts it into like a textbook and essays to everything I just said about property rights and the benefits of protecting them versus violating them. It explains it all through the historical record to help prove that, help demonstrate that. So it isn't about, I wouldn't say so much as theory that this is the way the world should work. It's an expose of how the world does work. And this is what science is, time and time again. When you do the same experiment and you get to keep getting the same result, okay, something's going on here, right? You know, we're coming up with that's what Austrian economics has done throughout history, is looked at things that have done over, these same things keep happening over and over again, and it keeps being the same result. There's something going on in here, people. Like, we got to make the connection. And so that's basically what it does. It just kind of goes through history and explain why these things keep happening. And it all boils down to property rights, whether they're being violated or protected. So,
yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that, dude. And I 100% agree with you. And it's hard, though. It's like, how do you fix this, right? When the state is so powerful, right? That's the thing, is like, this has been a problem that's just been reoccurring. And I think a lot of people before us have had these similar thoughts. But this is where THORChain comes in, man. Because I've had crazy thoughts how I can fix the government. And, you know, I could talk them if you want. But I said I could either do this or I go all in on THORChain. And my brain says I'm going all in on THORChain. I think that's where I fit best. And that's where I think our maximum chance of success. I'm positive about it, man. I'm positive. And just like you said, Kenton, like we're tall grass, like we're the taller grass, right? Like, I'm not a computer developer. Most of my life I was in medical industry, but this is how I can contribute, is with my voice. And that's fine. I will do that for as long as I can, right? But really it's up to the devs. But go ahead. You were going to say something. I think I cut you off.
No, I agree with you, man. Like, you mentioned, how do we stop the government, change the government, whatever. Like, this is the thing. We like, the problem isn't the supply of politicians. It's not the supply of government. The problem is the demand for government, right? So like drugs, right? You can make drugs illegal all day long, all you want. You can try and attack the supply. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. If you really want to try and solve the drug problem, you have to attack the demand. Why do these people want to do drugs? And I have more than I want to say out loud about personal experience with this. Like, I see it firsthand. It's the demand for drugs. The supply doesn't do anything to help anyone. It's the demand. And it always comes back to, like, you know, mental health issue or, you know, trauma, whatever. That's the part that needs to be fixed. It's not the supply of drugs. Society is addicted to government. It's the demand for government that we need to fix if we really want to change things. Changing the politicians doesn't do anything. Changing the supply of government doesn't do anything. It's the demand for it. And what's cool with Bitcoin is that people are kind of torn. Society's kind of torn. Well, I want to make money because I'm greedy. But I think even the people that are against Bitcoin and hate it, on some lizard brain level, understand it does represent freedom. They're terrified of freedom. They demand their slavery. They demand, to be told what to do. That's what they're so used to. It's kind of like a drug addict. Like they're getting high. They don't, but they just, the negatives, the downs, the sad lifestyle they have just isn't in the forefront of their mind, right? They're just so focused on high. The same people that demand government, right? They're just focused on the high. They're not paying attention to the after effects, the hangovers, the whatever. But I like to think Bitcoin is kind of like that, like cold water on the face. It's starting to make people think there's something better out there, something else, and
Yes, sir.
and whether they may not even be thinking about it, but they're just their own personal greed is like, well, I want to get into that. I want to make money. I want, and so Bitcoin, I think, it's like a Trojan horse, and then once they get into it and they own it, they're going to defend it. Well, it's if I bought Bitcoin, I'm not a bad person, and so I don't want it stolen from me, and so
Hey, Kenton.
yeah.
I've been working in the background. He's coming.
Oh, is he?
He's coming.
Okay,
He's
right
coming.
on. Okay,
Yeah.
good,
So he did see. I reached shout out to Joel at Dash. Got his attention. So it may probably take a few minutes
Cool.
for him to get set up
Awesome.
or whatever. But I just wanted to tell you that this is
Okay,
happening.
great.
So we got our audience all warmed up, right? Ready for
Yeah.
Sal. 1 hour session of this, like a freedom massage, just a disintermediated freedom massage. So dude, we're ready to go for him, man. This is it's
Right
like
on.
a comedian, right? You have you have someone who sets it and then the main event. So we
Yeah.
we got everyone warmed up, buddy.
Yeah.
So I love it. But continue. I just wanted to
No,
tell you that.
that's great. No, I'm kind of rambling a bit, just trying to keep the conversation going. But
But what you're saying though was actually very topical and on point. I mean, like you're 100% correct on what you're saying. So super, and I love this. I love doing the deep dive with you because like people can understand where it come from. We have whenever you talk about non KYC permissionless and freedom, like these are just sound bites, right? Like what does that mean? Like what are the meat and potatoes? And so I really appreciate you taking the time to really share it because it's very well thought out, structured. And I think you're correct, 100%, obviously. So
we are right.
yes, sir.
Like it is.
We are
yeah.
right. Damn right.
Yeah.
Of course we are.
There's the thing too, guys. Like maybe there's a chance this doesn't happen in our lifetimes, but at least history will be like will be proven. Like this is the thing. People that change the world often aren't celebrated in their existing lifetime. It's only after they die throughout history that they are then celebrated, right? And so, if you think about wanting to live forever, which I don't, I'm actually looking forward to dying. I'm interested to find out what happens. I find that people who are most scared of dying have the least to live for, just kind of miserable lives. So I'm interested to see what happens. It doesn't mean I want to. There's lots of things I want to do before I die. But as far as I'm concerned, to live forever is to be remembered. Do something so interesting and amazing in your life while you're alive that people can't stop talking about it, that it stands the test of time. And, I think I'm not like, I think for me, this was cool about working on THORChain. Like we're going to be a footnote in history. Fine. Our names may not be, they may not be singing songs about us in the future, but, I do like everything going on in crypto right now. Everything we're doing, like we're on the front lines. Like we're pushing things forward. I believe THORChain is going to be like the main exchange in the future. This technology could last hundreds of years. Kids could be studying stuff in the history books and like, oh, these crazy guys on the internet didn't know each other. All had all these pseudonyms, somehow came together and made this thing. How is that possible? How did they do that? It's pretty cool, guys. Like this is pretty awesome. Like this is.
Yeah, the Reed Trolls, the Max Powers, the Big Daddy Slick 4961, all you guys out there, like this is your story. You know what I mean? And we're not doing this so we personally remembered. We're doing it for the future generations. This is our time, Kenton. We are alive. We share the meat space together, right? We were born, and we have agency. And we once you can't turn it off, man. I could not go and live my life knowing what I know now. I know too much, right? And it's like a compulsion. Like I got to keep going, and it's so motivating. Like I don't get I'm often tired. I work very hard, but I always there's no thought ever in my mind that says stop. That's not part of the vocabulary. It's just what's next. Okay, we got that done. What's next? That's what it is, man. And so I'm really glad you and I came together. Oh my gosh, I see a 3-letter word right there. I am so excited with that. Yeah, we got
There we go.
Sal in the house. What's going on, man?
Dude, I'm so sorry for being
Don't
late.
apologize. No. See,
good.
when we talked about this, we warmed everyone up for you, dude. We've been talking about disintermediation. We've been talking
Nice.
about the state, man. So everyone's really buttered and lubed up for you, buddy. Like, oh man, you are.
nice.
We it's like the ultimate like layup, and we're ready to just slam dunk that shit, man. How you doing,
Love it.
Sal?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, awesome.
Thanks for coming. Dude, I wore my shirt. I wore my Rothbard shirt for you.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, I have one as well.
Yeah. Dude,
Awesome, dude.
I gotta admit, I have a bit of a man crush on you. You're one of the first accounts I started following on Twitter, and your memes at the time, man, they're just like they're bangers, like just day after day. And I'm like, God, this guy is awesome. How do you find all these memes? Like, do you create them? Like, how did?
So I every day I create less and less of them. I say nowadays I probably make, I don't know, 10% of them. I scour the internet though. I find them on I used to find a lot on Facebook, but that changed because Facebook sucks now. Instagram, you just got to know where to look, what accounts to follow.
Yeah. So can you maybe just give us a quick intro on you, just to our audience, maybe
Yeah.
not familiar with you, and yeah, maybe your journey to crypto. Maybe you can touch on your philosophy, and how it all ties together.
Yeah, of course. SallyMayweather. I'm on X as Sal the Agorist. You might know me there on Instagram and social media and whatnot. Um, I was a libertarian turned anarchist, and I just thought, in like 20, remember like 2013, I found Bitcoin, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, central banks can't inflate this money to pay for their wars and for their welfare. This is wonderful. I'm all in. And since that day, I've been all in. And nowadays, fast forward, we're doing a podcast, and I'm still trashing the government on social media every day. And yeah, things are going good. Now, it's kind of, it went from like me just posting memes out of anger to like I have like a real following. So it's been, and I try to use it to like promote, radical Rothbardian, like unapologetic, fuck the state kind of, libertarianism. So that's kind of my shtick.
That's why I like you, man, because you are sound. Like, you don't water anything down, and you say radical because it's like, but it's the truth, right? Speaking truth in a world full of lies is viewed as being radical, right? But
Yeah, right. But
right.
most people here like privatize, like, what do you mean privatize the roads? Like, what do you talk, privatize the military? That makes no sense because the average person has been subjected to such a enormous quantity of state propaganda since like their first day in public school when they were like 5 years old. Up until today with the shit that's on television and Netflix and stuff. So it's they're everybody to them like these ideas are in fact radical. When to you and I, because we've been exposed to Rothbard and Mises, that it seems like of course it's common sense. It's only logical.
Yeah, yeah. Well, can I ask you? So, Sal, the agorist. Can you touch on agorism? Like what?
Agorism, agorism,
Agorism.
potato, potato.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy that was started by Sam Konkin, and it's like I would say it's the most radical variant of libertarianism. Like, we don't vote, we don't partake in the political system, as to the highest degree that we possibly can. But agorism is just, it's a unique form of entrepreneurship in which we seek not only profits, but also state disruption. So it's often like there's an entrepreneurial component to it, so it has to be sort of like entrepreneurial, but we normally engage with the black and gray markets in a sort of non-compliant or permissionless, if you will, fashion. And I think that's a much more effective way at becoming free than voting or I don't know. We're not going to defeat the pedophile class. We're not going to run up in Washington D.C. with guns drawn, right? That's not going to happen. And even if it did happen, they have bigger guns than us, so it wouldn't be a long battle. We're not going to vote them out. I mean, they can't even get a bill to audit the Federal Reserve to the Senate floor, let alone get one passed through Congress and signed by the president. So, I think our only hope is to sort of make them obsolete, like Netflix made Blockbuster obsolete.
Couldn't agree more. This is so I love chatting with people who actually know what agorism is, because like I agree. That's the conclusion I've come to personally as well. That's agorism is a real way to fight back,
It's
and
it's 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 really one of the only ways if you think about it. Like everything else, you're just kind of sort of playing their game,
exactly, yeah,
which is
and
what they
like
want.
exactly, like voting just encourages them. It's this
Right.
illusion of choice,
Was it
and
Carlin who said like, if it made a difference, they wouldn't let you do it? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly,
Right. Good
yeah.
point.
And like in the market, your money is your real vote. That how you vote with what you do with your dollars, that is voting. That vote does
right.
count. And supporting these alternative businesses, if you want to call it that, that's the best way. And that's why I view crypto. I view crypto as one giant agorist movement.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure. I mean, there's like, there's different tools in the Agorist toolbox, but cryptocurrency is by far the most powerful because, if you actually like step back and you examine the state apparatus, like the beating heart of the enemy is the money printer, right? If it wasn't for the ability to print money at will, they would never be able to afford all of these wars and all of this nonsense. It's only through money printing. I mean, the total tax collection doesn't even suffice to pay the interest on the national debt. So they're not paying to, bomb schools in Iran with the income tax. They're paying for this shit with inflated money, right? So everybody who uses dollars is contributing to this. And I don't want to contribute to it, and I don't want to encourage this activity. So to me, like, gold and silver are great, but we found out the hard way that they're confiscable. And with because since the white paper, we've had this other commodity now, which has the same non-inflationary traits, but is also non-confiscable. And to me, that's huge. That means that no matter what they do, they can't put their hands in your pocket.
100%. So, Sel, I'm curious. I don't know if you know, but Monero is going to be live on THORChain here in like a month or two, and it'll take
Hopefully.
after. Yeah, well, I think it will go live. It's just once it's live, still needs to
Yeah.
be tested and played with. It probably won't be production ready for another, say, 3 or 4 months. It's got the community. Everyone's super excited. Monero community's been paying attention. They're excited. But we have, some people are like, well, they get the freedom side of things, but it's like this could create a perfect mixer in THORChain in crypto. THORChain's making it possible. Does this invite the Eye of Sauron? And should we worry? Like, could this be could be bad for us? Maybe that we get if becomes a hotbed of illegal activity, which obviously we don't want to support, but it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Do you think it's something we should be worried about, scared about? Do you think it could happen? Do you think maybe we're overreacting? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
So I've got the Monero hat on, so it's an appropriate talking point. But it's interesting because like in one sense, Monero is one of the most censored cryptocurrencies out there, but it's censored because it's effective. But I think was it that do you remember when Zuko went to like the SEC or something, and like the government actually issued a statement like shortly after, before, right around that time, that they said something like they want you to like use encryption, and like they want you to protect your privacy because foreign actors, it's going to prevent foreign actors from getting your data. Well, one would think that like they would be more open to privacy coins and stuff like that. So I'm hopeful, and I do think that the trend is sort of shifting away now, slowly, albeit, but we are getting to a more like accepting state where like these privacy coins and base layer privacy is much more acceptable on chain. So I'm not convinced that it's an issue, but I don't know. You're right though. The Eye of Sauron, you never know. All they have to do is just target you with their gaze, and that's it. So who knows? But let's pray not though.
Yeah. But that shouldn't stop us from moving forward, right?
No.
Like this is, at some point we got to take a stand. At some point we got to do this stuff and try this stuff.
And and the only way you're never gonna get freedom by you get freedom by like pushing the limit, not by existing within the boundaries. Let's say we step out of line, and then they come in and say no, you got to move back 10 feet. Okay, fine, whatever. You don't want to have any problems, but as long as we stretch that boundary, as we find out where that boundary is, we push it as much as possible. That's the important part here.
Yeah, yeah. We can't comply our way out of tyranny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you want to go down?
Well, hey, well, so, hey, Sal, I'm so glad you're here. I wanted to bring up your website because, like Kenton, I watch you all the time on X. And
nice.
I actually wasn't that familiar with algorithm, or maybe not at all, because I did attempt to get into politics to try and fix the problem, and then because I wanted information, right? And I realized, well, man, this system is so effed up. I'm going back to THORChain. You know what I mean? So I'm technically still, but I was hoping like let's try and fix. But I know a lot. Like you're seeing it now, like people like yourself. When you said you have a following, like you're exploding in popularity because people are waking up. They're looking around like, wait a minute, what the F is going on right now?
Right.
And so I'm trusting the process, right? I think we are naturally going to the state, but I wanted to bring up your website here because you do a lot, man. You're not just doing, like podcasts. You're an author. You've got 3 separate books. You've got the website. I'm going to bring up here, saltheagorist.com, you guys. Disintermediate the state. And if you click read the books here, here's are your 3 books. Anti-Politics, The American Experiment, What Your History Teacher Didn't Tell You, and 3 books that changed the world. So I'll go ahead and kick it to you, Sal, if you wanted to riff on that at all, if you want anyone to know anything else.
Yeah, so actually this website we just launched this website the other day. But yeah, I'm a busy man. So Anti-Politics was my first book. This is about like agorist philosophy if you're interested. It's really just sort of like a collection of agorist essays from like a million different anarchist thinkers and authors. A handful of them are like originals from like a blog I used to write. And The American Experiment is that one I wrote that one from cover to cover. It's a sort of a complete encapsulation of revisionist history because we have been lied to about so many historical events that it's very disturbing. And I think if people if people knew the truth, they would be shocked. And we've had over time different authors and different writers talk about one particular episode in history and how the state lied about it and manipulated the situation both during and afterwards in order to make it like paint them in the best light. And what I did in The American Experiment was I took all of those together and I just sort of completed the revisionist narrative. So it starts with like the Greeks and like the founding of democracy, and it ends with like I don't know, Trump or Biden or Obama, something like that, somewhere around there. And when I was writing it, I was like, there's so much in here we've been lied to about such a huge amount of shit that I don't actually have time to write about all of it. I was like, I'll come back and I'll visit some of these topics in later books. And 3 books that changed the world is one of those. And that's sort of a revisionist take on the progressive era, which is really one of the worst times in American history when we went from what remained of a republic to this global-facing militarized empire of a nation of debt slaves. So that book is sort of it's a very niche. You got to be a big libertarian nerd and like maybe a history buff to enjoy that one, but The American Experiment and Anti-Politics were the two most popular ones for sure.
But the three
I
books that changed the world, can you tell us what the books are? Or is that
So the No, of course, yeah. So there's three books that these are all written in the Progressive Era, and there's you can actually look at the Progressive Era. And it sort of is divided into three different parts, like the early Progressive Era of like McKinley, and then you have like the like Woodrow Wilson, TR kind of days.
sorry, Sal, can you give us some dates? So just for maybe we have
Yeah, so
foreigners, people aren't familiar
this
with U.S. history, like yeah, some dates that you're referring to.
yeah, I would say the Progressive Era probably runs from about 1898 to the end of World War One. World War One was sort of like the capstone achievement um, of that whole thing. But yeah, it was really fun to write, and a lot of like research went into it. But it's one of those things where it's like the more the deeper you dig, the more you realize just how entrenched the sewer is. I mean, a lot of the shit that we experience today can be directly traced back to this time. Of course, the cryptocurrency stuff, like it all started in 1913, right? That's what the whole need for cryptocurrency is. It's really just a cartelization of the banking sector, and Rothbard wrote about compulsory cartelization, and that's what we have in the banking sector. And the state has sort of upheld that monopoly, and cryptocurrency is like the sort of the only way to break that cartel. So all this is in that the progressive era is like a just. I mean, again, there's just so much to dig into. The first book that we talk about is The Jungle, Upton Sinclair, and that was like this labor propaganda book, this like socialist propaganda book that was very popular, and it led to like a shit ton of reforms, and more so than reforms, it led to the idea of it's acceptable for the state to regulate these industries that were once completely private. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. The second book was Woodrow Wilson had Colonel House was actually the guy's name, and he wrote a book about like a fake presidency and like in the progressive era, and literally everything he wrote in this book he instituted once Woodrow Wilson, he sort of manipulated Wilson and instituted all of these crazy progressive reforms, like um I don't know, there's a whole number of them in there. So check that out. And then the third one is this little known book called Christine, which was a World War One propaganda book. And that was like, the Germans are the big bad boogeyman, and we have to, go to war against them. But it's funny though, because again, like all of the things that we're talking about today were started at this time, and that's kind of why I wanted to shed a light on all that. So.
Cool. Denny, did you have a question earlier?
Well, I love it. I want him to break this down because I want people to understand, where Sal's coming from on a very grounded first principle basis. This guy's done his homework. He knows what he's talking about. And I think the important thing, especially on the American side, is that you need to double back and check the history, because that has been my experience, as well. As I look back, I'm like, oh my God, this is all BS, and I haven't dove in nearly as deep as Sal has, but I've seen enough where I'm like, okay, this is nonsense, right? This is basically the state controlling the next generation through this nonsense, through this BS, which is resulting in the problem today. And this is why I'm so glad you're here, Sal, because like THORChain, this is exactly what feeds me in THORChain, is that we're trying to fix the first principles, like your agorist, mentality of building a parallel economy, a substitute, something that's going to replace the state and end this fiat nightmare that we're
Bingo.
under, right? Right, that is the whole point. You also have a podcast, so I want to make sure I get you. I want people to hear your
Before we go to
words.
the podcast, I want to ask him about his other book, The American
Oh yeah, let's go back up.
Experiment. So just play devil's advocate a bit, Sal.
Yeah.
How do you know your version of history is true? Like,
Um, So it's interesting because there's actually, first of all, like there's actually a lot of evidence behind it. And if you actually, what I've learned is that if you actually do the reading, right, if you don't just take, what your high school history teacher said at face value, if you actually read the documents, you find that it's a completely different story. And I think this is true, especially like with something like Lincoln. Like if you actually read the things that Abraham Lincoln said, turns out he wasn't this, godhead of racial equality. Turns out he was the most white supremacist president we ever had, and that's what
Yep.
yeah. It's funny though because not only is the historical text back up the revisionist take of history, but and by the way, what is revisionism, right? Ralph Raico, the great revisionist author, he defined it as the unmasking of excuses for war making. And I think that's just the best definition ever. But because you people aren't naturally inclined to war, politicians and governments are. But the other thing is not only are we backed up by the historical text, we're also backed up by pure logic, right? In praxeology. And I think, if you understand some basic economic concepts like Austrian business cycle theory, everything sort of comes into focus a little bit more. And you can't really understand political economy without understanding Austrian business cycle theory. So, yeah, I mean, there's a great book besides for mine on the American experiments. If you're interested in revisionist history, there's a two. One is by John Denson and it's called Century of War, and he's the former president or vice president of the Mises Institute. And then the best book ever is by Ralph Raico, who was a genius, and his book was called Great Wars and Great Leaders: A Libertarian Rebuttal. And if you're not into reading, if that's not your thing, he's got a YouTube video called The World at War, which is like a 4 hour long lecture on the two world wars, which is just fantastic. So
Yeah, can I riff on that a little bit? So yeah, I totally agree with that, and because you could just say like people could be listening, it's like he said, like who has the real like just logically deduction, and I'm not a historian, I've read a little bit, so Sal, I want you to butt in if I'm incorrect about anything, but like when it comes to Lincoln specifically, like the line is he did it to free the slaves, but if that's the case, then why was the Emancipation Proclamation made a little over halfway through the war? Right? It wasn't a slave. It was an
not only
economic war.
that. Not only that,
But
the Emancipation Proclamation didn't apply to the slave states in the North. Like people forget that the North still had slaves during and after the Civil War. Like people think, wait, what? No, slavery was outlawed. No,
yeah.
slavery wasn't outlawed until after Lincoln was dead and gone. No, the Emancipation Proclamation was done to give Union soldiers the moral justification to wage war on civilians because Lincoln knew that the only way that they were going to subdue the South was by targeting civilians. And that's when Sherman and Grant really started like burning down civilian homes and hotels and businesses. They learned this at Vicksburg, which is, in an unfortunate coincidence. It was on July 4th, but they literally starved the Americans there to death. And people were eating like mules and sparrows, and while they were being shelled. And there's a book that I think I quoted in the American Experiment called My Cave Life, and it's written by a soldier's wife who was forced to live in a cave with her baby while the federal government shelled them to death. So this is what they're willing to do to hold on to power. They don't care about us. It's about holding on to power, and that's the only thing that these pedophiles and parasites care about.
100% correct. And, just to talk to people out there, like a lot of people, they have this narrative in mind, like the Revolutionary War, the North was anti-slavery and the South was pro. Like that's not true at all. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Sal. From what I remember, I believe like when it comes to polling, like in the North, it was like a 60-40 issue. In the South, it was a 60 against 4. Yeah, 60 against 44, and in the South it was like 40-60, right? It was a very contentious issue, and that's why, not in the very beginning of the war, that's not, Lincoln did not make the Emancipation Proclamation to free the slaves. And if you look at the journals of Confederate soldiers, I don't remember one of them reading about, or writing about, I'm doing this so people can have slave ownership. They talked about living free and having their children grow up in a free and prosperous land, and trying to free tyranny. That's what I read. So maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. The North was much more racist than the South was. Prior to Lincoln's invasion, blacks and whites sort of lived together much, much more peacefully. Don't forget, there was a lot more blacks in the South than there was in the North. So they were much more accustomed, the whites and the blacks in the South were much more accustomed to one another. So there's stories, Booker T. Washington wrote in his, I think it was his autobiography, he wrote about how, it was like a place of honor for there would be like slaves, like the head slave would like sleep in the house with like the family, like to guard them and protect them, and like that was like because they loved one another. There wasn't I mean, yes, there
Yeah.
was of course nasty slave owners and stuff like that. There was also black slave owners too.
Yes.
But in the North it was much more like white supremacist ideology, like we're better than them ideology. And actually, in New Orleans, the Union Army confronted a group of, it was like a black volunteer unit fighting for the CSA, and they tried to co-opt them into Lincoln's army, but they refused to fight for the North because the South was their home. So, everything, you tell people this, and they, it sounds crazy to them. There's black men who are some of the most decorated Confederate soldiers were black men. And the Abbeville Institute has done really great work uncovering a lot of that. And it's you'll never hear this story in history class. You'll get called, a racist for
Right.
telling that story.
Right, and see, this is where the Great Awakening. I'm sorry, Kenton. I'll let you go. This is the Great Awakening because people just want the truth. They want what actually happened. They're waking up. Their eyes are opening, and this is why I'm so glad you're on the show, so we can just give people a sense, right? Like we didn't discuss this beforehand, Sal and I did. This is just something that we
Right.
both researched, and we're having a genuine conversation. But I'll kick it to you, Kenton. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about like your revisionist history and everything you're talking about, that is lost on people. Like, it's kind of like, Trump and fake news. Like, you don't have to like Trump, but like, I'm not saying I do, but like, he is right. If you look back, like some of the stuff the news cycle will say about him, they'll have like a clip or whatever. And then if you actually go and actually listen to his full speech or watch his full video, whatever they're clipping, is like, that's actually nothing. He didn't say anything remotely close to what is being reported. And so, and it's actually pretty egregious. And like this is happening now. You can only imagine what was going on pre-internet and compounded over decades. Like I can only imagine the fake news that is throughout history. It's got to be egregious. It's got to be. It must
It's a
be. It
complete
must be
distortion.
shocking when you're doing the research. You're going through this like, we just like in shock, and at some point you're just like expecting it, basically. Like,
Yeah. It was really like the people like Washington and Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt, these people who were in public school, they're like put up on, I mean they're literally on Mount Rushmore, you know what I mean, like they were literally like treated like gods. And that only started after the Civil War, right? Like there was no national hero. Most people didn't even know who their, who the president was. They were more likely to know who their congressman or their senator was. But yeah, like the Lincoln stuff shocked me. The Alexander Hamilton stuff I knew a little bit about, but like it was really dark in the sense that he was manipulated by like rich business interests. So like even from like day one, we were like manipulated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then of course, the 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 other big one too would be the World Wars, where we are sort of like we were told that we were the good guys, but really, and of course, like, I'm not saying that the Germans were like good guys and Hitler was nice or anything like that, but like my point here is that we were told that we were like we were the morally correct party, but it turns out in fact that we weren't. Woodrow Wilson got us involved in an unnecessary war, and that war, World War One, led to an unfair treaty, the Treaty of Versailles. And the Treaty of Versailles, of course, led to World War Two, and World War Two, and led to the Holocaust, and World War Two, of course, also led to the Cold War. That's another story people aren't aware of. And the Cold War, Americans were dying in all sorts of corners of the world, and the Cold War led to the war in the Middle East, which is where we are. But people don't think like that. They think, it's today's issue. The thing in Gaza started, in October. You know what I mean? Like, so it's shocking. But what's interesting is that once you understand about like how much bullshit we've been fed, it's no longer shocking now. And like, it also makes it easier to spot the new bullshit. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like you're just nowadays you just see like, yeah, okay, that I've seen you guys do that one before.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think the world's getting quite conditioned. Go ahead, Kenton.
So it's at the point I tune out. I don't even like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I think like whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're saying it again. They're making those
Yeah,
noises
right,
again.
exactly. But it's frustrating because like, the average fluoride drinking TV watcher out there is, they just see it. It's like, like the propaganda goes straight into their brains from the television to their brains, and it's just like it's hard to get her to fix all that, to deprogram them.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts because it seems like we're coming to this massive crescendo globally. I can't model it. I can't figure it out. I mean, when I was younger, I would make investments and I would figure out 5-10 years. I can't even tell you, by the time I wake up, what's going to happen sundown, Sal. The world's just too unstable. But the government of America, other governments as well, like we're in a complete fiscal crisis. Like there's going to come a day where people are like, oh yeah, the bank doesn't have the money. They don't have my money.
Right.
There's a big bank run. Like we're $40 trillion in debt, and it's not like so. I think just on my gut, Sal, and I'm not sure that this is the moment where I'm hoping there's just a great awakening, and people like yourself, and I'm hoping THORChain too. We're aptly positioned to give people that out, to give them that resource where they can emancipate themselves from this nonsense that's basically been indoctrinated since centuries now. I guess you could say.
Yeah, so that's the key. It's sort of deprogramming them, and that's what the purpose of the podcast and all the books is, and the social media stuff is to sort of just kind of like to try to like capture their attention, and then I draw them in. That's kind of the idea what I'm going for here, and I tell you, it's been very successful. Like you'd be surprised, the memes and the social media content is a sort of wide net, and then you pull them in and then you realize how many people understand at least that something is wrong, something is awry, and they don't know what that solution is. They know it's not voting, and they're not going to jump up in the police station with guns drawn, right? That's not going to work either. So everyone's looking for a solution. And I think, one of the reasons why the podcast has done so well is because people understand that, we need a solution. They don't know what it is, and we present them one, right? We tell them, hey, look, here's, the different cryptocurrencies. Here's what they do. Here's the different tools you can use, and to get started, to become your own bank and to get divested from the banking cartel. So we have to teach them. We have to show them what these tools and tricks are, and THORChain is of course one of them. It's one of the best we have, frankly, because we're able to, we have this sort of decentralized way to move from one cryptocurrency to another, and I think that's kind of key because you can't. There's a lot of swaps you can't make on a lot of centralized exchanges just because the government doesn't like those coins.
100%. And sorry, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, it's fun. Before we go down that talk about THORChain, I want to kind of go back to you mentioned something about people just they feel like something's wrong. They don't know what it is. They can't put their finger
Right.
on it. It's like the Matrix, right? Where it's like just something doesn't feel right, and then Neo goes down the path and he
Right.
escapes the Matrix. I'm curious, Sal, are you like our Morpheus? Have you brought how many people do you think you've gotten out of the matrix, like through your podcasts and your posts and everything. Like, have you do you fancy, and feel free, I think, to brag a bit, but do you think you've helped bridge that gap, get people out of the matrix and help them, they're already there, but you just help them see what they were already thinking and believing. You helped crystallize it for them. Is that?
That's exactly it. And yeah, I'm kind of shocked at how successful it's been. I can't tell you, like, I'll go to Porkfest and like people come up to me and be like, dude, your memes, like, they saved me, or like, I listened to your show, and it's actually kind of insane, honestly. We went to like, yeah, it's just the reception is just honestly like humbling, but that's the whole name of the game. Like, there's nothing more rewarding than like hearing from a stranger, like, dude, you saved me, you pulled me out of, like you said, the Matrix or something like that. And yeah, it's incredible how many people have woken up as a result of it. I mean, I was at the gym and some guy came up to me at the gym with the American Experiment and like asked me to sign it,
That's
we were
awesome.
we were in New York City, and I saw some guy putting up a Monero sticker on like a street lamp, and I was like, "Good job, man!" And he turned, he's like, "Sal the agorist," and like, so it's cool, it's wonderful, but we have to not only do we have to keep pushing, we have to push 10 times harder than we are now. I've been
It's
doing it for a long time. I've been at this since like I don't know. I've been anti-government since I don't know. It's over 15, 16 years, 17 years now. So I've been doing it for a while, and I'm kind of able to hone in on the message a little bit. I do still get frustrated by people and lash out and say stupid shit, but that's the internet.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
What are you
good,
gonna
good
do?
for you, man. I'm terrible at converting people. I think
Really?
sometimes I think I turn people off, and it's just like, I can't. I got to work on my delivery or something. But
Yeah, you know what though? I have the same thought process, but what I found is that just constantly hitting them with that pure Rothbardian radical, like, why? I mean, we have to be able to answer the questions too. That's part of it. You have to be able to like explain this shit. But just keep hitting them, and then eventually like it'll click.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I agree with you about doubling down, doing harder on this, because it's sometimes I don't know. I kind of flop back and forth sometimes. Like, we're the swamp, the beast. I mean, it's the most powerful it's ever been in human history. From like a technological point of view, the nuclear weapons, right? Like,
Yeah.
I watched this video on 9/11 the other day. I'm convinced that was an energy weapon. And I'm like, if they had energy weapons back then and are using it back then, what do they have now? Um, so then I'm like, man, it's just like, it almost seems hopeless. That, like, it's like we're the Rebel Alliance going up against the Death Star, and
Right.
and it does, but at the same time, it does feel like we did find that, you know, the Death Star having that, that
Yes.
the tunnel to get the thing to blow it up.
Yeah.
It feels like that's crypto. Like, this is how we fight back, and this is the way,
And
and it stands a really good chance of working.
no, you're 100% right. And let's also not forget that Han Solo was an agorist, right? He was like a smuggler, right?
Yeah.
So the analogy is appropriate, and you're 100% right. The one thing I would say is that the government is not like it's we think of it as like this sort of monolith, like a sort of you know, fixture on the wall that doesn't move. It's just there forever, no matter what. It's just there, part of life. But governments come and go, and they're not as stable often as we might believe, right? Um, so the American government is, yeah, we're the biggest guy in town, but our financial house is not in order, to put it mildly. So we're not as stable as people might think. And again, you're right. Like that one weakness. Like, you ever see that meme? I actually think in memes at this point of the knight, like the medieval knight, and he's got like just a little slit, and then he's
Yes.
got the arrow goes through like that little slit. that little slit is the central banking cartel, and the arrow is cryptocurrency, and that's the only way that we win.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely. Well, I went.
the nuclear weapons, the army, all the guns the government controls, it only works if they can pay people to use them, and they're paying them in
Right.
dollars.
Right.
And if those dollars disappear at some point, that whole apparatus, it evaporates, it falls apart. I mean, I understand the weapons are still there, but why are the people going to operate them, right? It's removed it. So, and I feel like we're getting closer to that point where the dollar is just not going to have the value it used to be, right? And these cops, these police, these armed military, whatever, what are they going to be paid in to get them to carry out the actions? And it's like, well, they won't be paid, and so they won't carry out the actions. And Bitcoin does fix this. So I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that this is how it goes, and it just kind of the system dissolves. Like we don't have to fight back with guns and get in the streets and whatever. We can fight back with money.
I
And
think we're halfway there. The dollar has lost like 99.5% of its value since the central bank came into existence. So we're not long off. I think other central banks have been even more reckless and more irresponsible than ours, or than the Federal Reserve. So I think that's probably why we, it's still not an issue. As long as the government demands, their taxes in, dollars, there will be a demand to hold dollars. It'll increase the salability of that commodity and the want for people to hold them. But eventually there comes a day of reckoning, right? This is what Mises and Rothbard say. You can't print money forever. Eventually you reach zero. And I don't think we're that far off, honestly. It's hard to time. Like
Yes.
economics tells us what will happen, but it doesn't tell us when things will happen. If it did, we would all be filthy rich, obviously. But yeah, we know what's going to happen, and you can't print money forever.
And when it does happen, it is fast and ruthless and pretty
Yep.
brutal, like a bank run, right? So
Yeah.
I,
Look at
I
Cyprus.
mhm.
Remember that one? Yeah. Very quick.
Very quick, yeah. I'm going to make sure that people hear the podcast that Sal does is called the Subversive Spectrum. You guys, it is on Wednesdays on 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely check it out, please. You guys follow Sal. Real quick, Sal, I just want to do a pulse check. Are you limited on time? We just kind of just go with the show. If we're having a good time, we hang out. But I want to make sure we respect your time as well, in case you need to go at some point or whatever.
I've got about 10 more minutes.
Okay, I'm glad I asked. Very good. Kenton,
Yeah.
I'm going to kick it to you. As I use the restroom real quick.
well, can you stop your screen share, Denny? I think we're good. Uh, Yeah, well, I'm kind of curious, Sal, your history in crypto. Um, uh, yeah, like you started off Bitcoin. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a fan of Bitcoin Cash. I'm curious your thoughts on the evolution of Bitcoin and crypto, kind of where you're at right now. Like, has Bitcoin been co-opted? Do you think it's going down the wrong path? Do you think there's still hope for it? Any other cryptos you're kind of like paying attention to? Do you think that are fighting the good fight that we should be paying attention to? Yeah, if you can kind of. I don't know if you can talk about that in a few minutes.
Of course, yeah. So like I again, like I was, Bitcoin was of course the first one. That's what got me into everything. Um, and when the block size wars happened, I was sort of just disillusioned. I was kind of disappointed. I thought maybe the whole thing was coming to an end. And then I started doing more research. Actually, what happened was I had Roger Ver on my podcast, and the maxis went crazy. You would have thought I was like, Judas Iscariot or something. And I'm like, let me do some more research. I don't even know why they hate this guy so much. Let me find out more information. Like, it was a purely informative podcast. I just wanted to see what was up, with Bitcoin Cash and blocks and stuff. And the more research I did, I became convinced that block size increase was necessary. And then they launched the war on crypto. Really, of course, it kicked off with Ross Ulbricht's double life sentence, but it really kicked into gear under Joe Biden, and that's when I realized that the need for fungibility couldn't be grafted onto cryptocurrency later. I now believe that it has to be sort of baked into the cryptocurrency. And that's why nowadays you see me promoting Zano, Firo. I've got my Monero signs over there. And one thing that I'm super excited about now is confidential layers product bridgeless, and Rosenbridge is working with Firo, and what they're going to do is you'll be able to sort of tokenize a pseudonymous chain and trade it privately on like the Zano blockchain or the Firo blockchain, and that's super cool, I think, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm getting ready for, of course, there's Bitcoin Vegas coming up, which I'll be at.
You got to come to our side event, the
I
THORChain
what?
side event.
Oh yeah, you have a side event. When is
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
I'll be there.
Monday, April 27th at 7 p.m. At the F1 Arcade. I can send you a link. I'll put it.
Send me a link. I believe I'm flying in the day before, so that should work.
Sweet. Yeah, I'd love to have you there. What's the best way to get you the link?
Are you on Telegram?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, I'm on Telegram. You can DM it to me too on X.
Yeah,
Um,
you're following me on X too, so you should be
yeah,
able to get it. So let me go. I'll send it to you on X.
Real
but
quick, Sal, I know
yeah.
you're a little limited on time. I just want to make sure. When we conclude, just hang out a little bit because the video uploads on your side, and it's just
Okay,
for good quality. Thank you,
you
brother.
got it.
Appreciate you.
No worries,
Awesome.
no worries. But yeah, after Vegas, then I'm going to Consensus in Miami, and then after Miami, I'm flying to Slovenia for the Bitcoin Cash Bliss conference, where I'm going to be speaking about the state of privacy on Bitcoin Cash, which that'll be fun.
Sweet.
Badass.
Yeah,
Badass.
So
yeah.
back to Zeno. So we talked to the guys a couple weeks ago now, Denny, and
Yeah.
um, they're coming out with their gateway addresses so that it's easier for Zano to be incorporated into a DEX. And they're coming out, I think they said May. So I'd love to see Zano get on THORChain. And so I
Yeah,
think we'll try and make that happen.
that would be a
Um,
killer collaboration right there.
yeah.
What
So
about
like,
Firo? What's Firo? Maybe we'd love to have what if you like it, I like it, Sal. Not to be simplistic, but that's
No,
just
no,
kind of how
but
my brain is.
Firo is one of the most underrated privacy coins, in my honest opinion, because they do just what Zano does, or at least they plan in the very near future to be doing what Zano does. Um, but their price value is like super low because they're not known in the United States as well. They're much more well known in like Asia and like parts of the developing world and stuff, but they have like a huge following over there. So I think, once the American audience finds out that they're up to, I think that, everything else will catch up. The popularity and price points will catch up.
how do you spell it?
So Firo is Firo.
Okay, maybe we should try and get them on the
You
show.
should definitely have Ruben Yap on. He's like the project steward, and he's like a huge privacy enthusiast.
Can you
Um, I,
can you
I'll
introduce
link you
us,
guys.
please?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will. I
Yeah.
absolutely will.
Thank you, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all about us. I know you're coming up. You got to leave here soon. We are maximally engaged, and XMR hopefully is going to go live on THORChain pretty soon and be stable.
I
And
can't
we're
wait.
we're we're gonna die on this hill, bro. We are not messing around. The world deserves privacy, and we are not gonna budge one friggin' inch. We
Dude,
don't
I
care.
love
So
it. I love
yeah,
it.
it's happening. This is a real deal. Like all THORChain is base now. Like a lot of things have changed, and
Yes.
it has never been more base than what it is. Go ahead, Kenton.
So just before you go, Sal, I'm curious. Where'd your profile picture come from on Twitter?
So that's
Yeah.
so obviously we have a slightly different haircut.
Yeah.
But so that's Mac Dre. And he's like, the greatest rapper that ever lived. And back in 2010, when I was making this Twitter page, I didn't know what to put as the avatar, as the profile picture. And I'm like, well, I'm listening to Mac Dre, so I'll just put Mac Dre in there.
Nice.
And
Nice.
actually, funny story, my friend in college, we would like party at his house. And he would, I don't know if you guys know Sally Mae, the loan company. It's like this old student
What,
loan
like the
company.
big, like Sally
Yeah.
Mae, like the giant.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
right. So my buddy used to get drunk back in college and be like, "I'm Sally Mae, bitch. You can pay me," or something like that. And I think Floyd Mayweather was fighting that night. So I was like, Sally Mae, it didn't work. So I'm like, all right, well, Sally Mayweather. And that's how Sally Mayweather, the Mac Dre rapper, anarchist rapper, was born.
Nice, nice,
Oh
Yeah.
man,
nice,
that's
awesome.
epic.
But it's like it's got such a branding behind it now. Like
Yeah.
people are like, oh, you should just put your face on there. I'm like,
No, you got to keep it. No,
I
you got
know
to.
it's a branding thing,
Yeah, yeah.
It's
No, no
badass.
offense to your face, but
Right, I know.
like you said, man, I'm so used to it now, and like in the
Right.
Sally Mayweather name, everything. Yeah, totally. No,
I
yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
dude, I'm so dumb. I literally thought that was you, and then when I was watching your podcast, I was like, "Where's Sal?" I was like, "Where is he?" You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, okay." And then you talked. I recognized your voice. I'm like, "Okay."
Where's the black dude with the chain, right?
Yeah.
And the fro.
Low
Too
IQ
funny.
over here. What are you gonna do, bro?
Too funny.
Did
Yeah.
you
All
originally
right.
do it because you didn't want to be doxxed? You did want to stay anonymous, and then eventually you doxed yourself, or
No. I was never like anonymous. I just, thought it was,
fun?
yeah,
Yeah, cool, nice.
yeah.
What?
Love
I
it.
think our 10 minutes is coming up, Sal. So I think we got to wrap it, Kenton. But I just want to say, if you ever want to know if someone's making good decisions in their life, they look like this guy. He's completely just chatted out. He works out. He probably eats right. The person you do not listen to is the anemic, iron deficient little bitch who's like, ugh, with a scrawny voice. This is the guy you
No
listen
neck.
to. This
No
is the
chin.
guy. You know what I'm saying?
Love you guys. Love you guys. Love you guys.
Love you too, Sal. Before you go, is there anything you want to, anything else you want to say? Any other thoughts or comments you want to make?
No, it basically covers it. We got the 3 books and the show. AgoraThreads.com, libertarian merchandise and apparel. We're sort of redoing that site right now, so some features might not be there, and new products are coming, and old products are going to disappear. But yeah, keep your eyes on that. And other than that, that's all I got.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
And
Thanks.
so-
Really appreciate you
so-
coming.
And we'll wrap it right now so we can end the show and he can upload on his side. So guys, just so you guys know, we're going to wrap it up right now. If you'd like to become a node operator on THORChain, you need some help, please reach out to @RuneTard on X. He can help you get set up and find bond providers. It's technically challenging, but if you've got the skills, we want you, we need you, the world needs you. Please sign up, guys. We will help you out. For THORChain data and insights, please follow @RayAnalytics on X. He does written recaps of these spaces and these podcasts too. Really helpful. Give him some love, guys. Always remember, the views expressed are solely of those of the hosts and guests. Any action taken based on this information is at your own risk. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Next week, guys, we'll have the Unstoppable Wallet guys. IBEC on. Look forward to that. Sal, thank you so much, brother. It's so great talking to you.
Thank you,
If you ever want
guys.
to do it again, let us know.
You let me know. I'm down. Whenever you guys want to do it, just let me know.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Next time I'll be on time.
No worries, buddy. We got everyone warmed up. It was perfect. All right, guys. We'll catch you later now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.